So today's hope is to prep the case, which is a Silverstone SG05, by removing this bar by popping out the rivets really quick with our handy dandy Dremel, in hopes that that will create enough space to get the MSI R9 270X in there. Due to that bar, the clearance is a little iffy, especially with this being a taller card. So let's move this outside and get to drilling. Alright, this is going to be really noisy. We're on my patio right now, and this Dremel is going to make a lot of noise. Now that we have this cleaned up a little bit, wiped down some of the metal, or most of the metal shavings, I think we're ready to get this put together. Looks like we might still have some clearance issues. This card really is just not meant for a case this size, but you know what? We'll see. We'll see what'll happen. With that out of the way, we might be able to flex it a little bit and bend it into place. Like I might have mentioned at some point, I will probably be getting just some screws to be able to put that back into place, just to increase the structural integrity. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and get this all put together. Alright, just going to pop this into place as you'd expect. Motherboard, just an ASRock H97M ITX AC. So these are going to have, you know, the built-in Wi-Fi, support for Haswell processors. Right now there is an Intel i5 4590. No overclocking, but this is a non-overclocking board, as this is the H97 chipset. But that's fine. This is a relatively mid-range build, so the overclockability is really unnecessary now that the motherboard is in. Geez, I would say now is probably going to be the moment of truth to see if that video card is actually going to fit or not. So let's find out. Oh, very careful squeezes. Oh. And oh boy, as you can see, that is exactly all it took to get what would be otherwise a video card that would not fit in this case into this case. Alright, well, the part I was most worried about actually went really smoothly. Well, aside from getting some of those rivets out. Like I said, that is just fantastic. That is a tight but snug fit. Zing. At this point, should probably get the front I/O replaced. That means getting the fan in there, getting the filter back in there. We'll do this carefully so that I can still get all the cables plugged in where they need to be plugged into. This filter just kind of pops into place like so. but it's pretty effective. Perhaps at some point I will experiment with taping off some of the other holes in this case. Let's see. The front audio and USB go through here. Everything else goes through here. I'm probably only going to plug in like the power and reset just because I don't really like any of the activity LEDs. They're really not necessary. So let's see. And the the cable management's going to be nothing spectacular in here, but that's just because this is another one of those minimal space cases. I mean, this is MITX. I'm not holding my breath. This isn't a Prodigy or anything. One row of pins off. There we go. That's the audio. Hard drive LED. Power LED. Reset and power. There we are. Just kind of gonna separate those off because, like I said, we're not gonna use these. Let's get this out of the way. Here's where having a flashlight would come in really handy. It's like recordingception. Need some light. Luckily, motherboards mostly have these printed nowadays on the PCB, which is a godsend. Power button. Power switch. Hopefully this is all in shot. If not, my bad. Reset. Maybe. We'll find out. Yeah, we'll find out. All right. Now for USB 3. Just like so. Alright, so at this point, I'm going to need my tiny precision screwdriver, because I think we're going to install the Wi-Fi card next, and we want as minimal flex as possible on there, so we do need to get the card out, or the post out. We'll be working on a better lighting solution at some point, because currently light options in this apartment are minimal at best. Okay, loosen this up, remove this screw. We should probably do this over the table, because otherwise if I drop this screw it will probably be forever missing. Now, just gonna line these up. What did I tell you? Cat is not happy that I am in here without her. Alright, now let's clean this. Oh, it helps if I orient it the correct way, doesn't it? Probably should have looked at that first. Oh well. Something about happy little mistakes. Poke into place. And then screw back in. Now the fun part, making sure that these are properly in place. These never want to stay for me, so we'll see how effective this ends up being. Okay. You can get like a set of jewelry pliers or something for these, because as soon as I go to screw one of these antennas in, it's just gonna loosen right back up. Every time that happens. Every time. Antenna is removed. Alright, I'm going to attach these now so that I've got a finger on them. So just loosen themselves. And that's the antennas. Now I just need to secure them to the card. Don't think this matters too much. One. And maybe it just has to snap into place too. There we go. What next? Let's get the fan in so that I can stop dealing with the floppy front panel. How about that? So I'm just gonna use a red LED PWM Bitphoenix Spectre. These things are super quiet, like even when they're ramped up. So it's kind of the idea. Keep it as quiet as possible. CPU is probably going to be loud, but you know, I don't have a spare small form factor CPU cooler right now to throw on there. We're good. Let's give these a good cinch. Make sure they're nice and tight. Oh. Not too tight that they crack, I suppose. There we go. Now let's get this all secured. And those are just silver retention clips. So that just snaps back into place. You know, tuck the cables around, make it at least a little clean, I suppose. As clean as possible. we're not going to probably use the actual mounting bracket, mostly just because half of the mount for the mounting bracket for drives is now not attachable. So otherwise, I mean, the drive would just slide into here, zap it down, we're good. I can't really do that now, so we're probably going to do that last, but we will run the cable anyways, because we're probably just going to let this rest here. It's a plastic SSD, so I mean, it's not going to short out and it's not going to cause any issues on anything, so I'm not too worried about it. Hell, it could sit on top of the CPU cooler for all I care. Won't, but it could. It's not a big deal. Alright, so I do not have a modular power supply available right now, but I do have the Silverstone SFX450, I believe. SST. So, but this should be more than enough power to keep everything nice and happy. Cool thing about this is that it does come with a bracket so that it can be installed in regular ATX cases, you know, if you're looking to save space but don't have a high power requirement. But in this instance, it is necessary because it's only a teeny little hole here. And it's a tiny little case. I only guess, I mean, if I had double-sided sticky tape, I could just set this right here on top, but, or on bottom rather, but, or along the side. That would be neat, but we're not going to do that. This thing does have a tendency to get warm. I just remembered I do need to plug in the fan. That would be a bad thing to miss. That's right back here, and I'm going to need a light again. So, oops. Here we go. Also a good thing I caught this, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to get at this with the power supply installed. And that would be no good. This is a PWM header as well, 4-pin header, so we will be able to control that through the BIOS or whatever. Just gonna run this out of the way as well. And just tuck it out of the way. Just run around the CPU cooler. And the fans aren't interfering with the cables, so we are good to go there. Now for the power supply. This just goes right in the back like so. Line up all the holes. And just fasten it into place. We'll be able to get everything just fine with it in place, I'm pretty sure. I might have a little bit of trouble with the 4-pin power, or the 4-pin motherboard supply. Tighten these down. See what I missed. So we're gonna need 24-pin power. We're gonna need the 4-pin for the motherboard. Won't need Molex anything. We'll need one SATA connector, and we'll need both 6-pin power connectors. So let's run the 4-pin just right down here. Yeah, it would have been easier, but it's fine. Plug that in like so. And keep that there. Lower this down, because we're going to try and tuck as much of this out of the way as possible, just to at least keep it a little clean. And this over here. Alright, let's get the motherboard power in place. Make sure everything's all lined up. Make sure that I'm not trying to put this in here wrong. Just fine. Alright, now for 6 and 6. Oops. Pop those into place as you should. Alright. And just kind of tuck that down there. Actually works out pretty well without the hard drive mount in place. Alright, speaking of the hard drive, let's deal with that real quick. And by deal with that, I mean, you know, give it power and a data connection. And like I said, I'm just gonna tuck it in there and it will be just fine. Alright. Let's try and manage as much of the cable nest as possible. And by manage it, I mean just Velcro, tie it all together. Is it pretty? Sure isn't. But at least it keeps it all together. And that's the hopes. And that is pretty much it. Aside from, I mean, putting the body back on the shell. But first off, we're gonna plug it in and make sure everything runs, because it would really suck if everything is in place and it doesn't work. Moment of truth. Oh, and there we go. We have functioning SG05 with a power supply, or not power supply, with a video card that shouldn't fit in a tiny little shoebox of a case. That is super exciting for me. I've wanted to get a bigger card in here, but never could. So, by simply taking out 6 rivets and a bar, you can effectively get, well, I mean, at least any size of MSI's gaming GPU like this, which I think is pretty much just the GTX 700 series and AMD R9 series. So, alright, gonna power this down and wrap this up. Consider this a huge success.